to the true believers out there. Definitely in Sunday mode, hair askew, whatever. I just wanted to take this moment to come to you live from my couch. And I made a post on Facebook earlier this morning, which I think is apropos to what we're going through. I have refrained from coming online and doing a good grief. I need to brush my hair. Anyway, probably should have put a comb through my hair. Oh, the virtues of being online and having a presence, etc. Anyway, nobody cares about that. I wanted to go over a post I made on Facebook, which I think is apropos. And of course, hindsight is 2020. We all know this. Who am I? I am Mike. I am Mike ML. I run a website called ApeIt.Ink, powered by Substack. It is truly a free speech platform. Great space to jump on if you want to really see all the people out there that are true believers and believe in this American thing we call democracy. I'm streaming out to my Facebook, which nobody's going to watch, my Twitter, which some people might watch, although none right now. Why should they? It's almost noon. On a Sunday, you should be having a mosa with your mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. If you have occasion to celebrate or not. I'm slightly joking there, but I wanted to cover this, and I'm doing this ad hoc here on my laptop, so I got to kind of re-roll things before I can share them out. Let me put myself in a little bit of a smaller window up there so I can see that what's going on there, and then I can go through the bona fides and whatnot therein. Let me make this big, and then I got to share out my socials, and I'll get into it here, and I'll rep the other ones too. That's me. I need to bring up Tom's. Yeah, no, it's there. All right, cool. So I will go ahead and share my socials. And oh wow, they've really changed this. Restreamio continues to change their thing, which is good. They innovate. But let me share the window. Oh, I just got a alert showing that, telling me I can't do that. Let me put myself on the smaller window. Okay. We'll do the socials. What you see on the screen here. First and foremost, didn't sign in yet. This is me. This is the ApeIt.Ink. That's on Substack. It's my website. They do this cool domain hosting thing. And this is just kind of me, my political, current events, entertainment, anything that's not that is heavier to talk about or discuss. Really, it's definitely like I am a political creature, like all citizens are. Whether you think you are or not, you will vote at some point. Hopefully, you will vote at some point or another in time. Also on Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it, ApeIt_Ink. I'm also on YouTube with the SofaKingJewish. That's my gamer tag that I've had for 20 years or so. I am Jewish, so it is what it is. And I covered the entirety of the debate, and it was like I ended up doing like 3.5 hours. And I'm a small channel, so I'm a nobody, so I got away with that because normally you get a strike right away. Anyway, Yats, if you want to find me or my co-host or what we do online, I need to add a few things to this. This is the YAT. It's the same as a link tree, which is like all the places you can find me and my co-host and what we do. It's got my website, Twitter, the thing. I need to add my threads, my Instagram, and our Reddit account, the first, the last, the nerdum. If you don't give a shit about politics or anything else, you just want a cool recommendation from from nerds who have quite a bit of history with this thing. I'm not going to say that I'm a science fiction expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I definitely have consumed hundreds of books over my lifetime, just like other nerds. I'm not really special in that lane. Tom has done the same thing, but with horror and fantasy and some other things. So he's a great resource. Um, Little fun fact: a lot of our picks come from him each week that we cover. The first to last of the Nerddom is a channel on YouTube, which we use to cover fun things like just good recommendations. We're up to 203 videos. We cover anything and everything. Sometimes it's more current, sometimes it's way back in the past. Stay tuned for tonight's thing. We're gonna do Tucky. I blanked on the name. It'll be worth your while. It'll be like the third or the fourth film from this Japanese director that we've covered, Takashi Miike. Takashi Miike, excuse me. Took me a minute there to remember. Shame on me for not having that ready to go. Anyway, also on Reddit, all this to say. Anyway, kind of coming into the main point here of the thing, and thank you for that one viewer who's watching me or has clicked on it. Really wanted to just cover my view. I'm going to turn the socials off, and I'm going to go into my Facebook here. I made a Facebook post, and there's quite a bit I have to say about this, and where we're currently at. It really is not great where we're at currently. I'm going to put this up here. I don't really care. My Facebook is restricted to whatever, so I don't mind sharing it. So I'm not sharing out my really personal private life there. Let me go ahead and find that. They changed these controls here, and shame on me for not being better on it. But anyway, stop screen sharing, and then we're going to go back in, and I'm going to share my current post that I have up on the Facebook here. Let me see if it makes any difference here. I'm going to go ahead and read it out. And what it is if you are an audio listener or whatever, God bless you. The only thing before I get into the main event, I would really appreciate if you could like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my website, ApeIt. I know I threw a lot of links at where I'm at, but really, if there's only one website or thing that you choose to follow me on, it would be that ApeIt, ApeIt.Ink. That's really where I'd like folks to find me at, if not on Facebook or YouTube, or not Facebook, but YouTube or Twitter. Excuse me, I misspoke there. But anyway, this is a picture of Dean Phillips, who ran for the Democrat primary last year. And I'm gonna read out my post and then explain a little bit what I mean here. Excuse me, I get the hiccups. Yeah, a little bit of two locally for office. Very true. A real primary was not run back when it could have been run on the Democrat side, because this man, Dean Phillips, could have truly been a great president for 2024. He really could have been a really good bipartisan president for all. I think we would have been better off, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. He always told the truth in front of the camera, in front of the camera people as he knew it, not how he wanted. He did not have he could not afford to do rhetoric like other candidates who are much bigger than him can coast on. He has to get in, and he told the truth of the current state of America, where we were at. I think RFK probably maybe did a little bit better job, but that kind of wasn't fair because he already was famous, just on his name. Never mind being famous nationally. It is what it is. Anyway. And I have tongue lashed the Democrats over and over and over and over again. Not because I'm a Democrat, not because I'm GOP, not because I hate them or I hate the whatever. I am an independent. I have been an independent for the vast majority of my adult life. I'm not different than many other people in America, but in my post here, I also said a plan B or C. The Dems should have immediately transitioned to Harris. I made a post earlier in the spring about that. Maybe I'll make a video about it. I didn't have time to pull it up here. but this goes back to this kind of all is all what is this about? This is all kind of all covering, reframe it here a little bit so people know what the hell I'm talking about. Joe Biden, in case you lived under a rock, did a very, very horrible debate performance. For probably a good 40% to half of it, he couldn't even put words into a sentence. He couldn't even make a sentence. It was very, very bad. Very, 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 very bad. And it is what it is. But this has to do with the aftermath and how do the Democrats respond. I don't necessarily have an answer, but I do have my own recriminations that I would like to toss their way. So if you see it, you can see how very bad they played their hand. And this is just kind of part of it. This is kind of probably going to be a multi-part series that I will write about, and then I'll do a little bit more polished video on it later on. But this is just kind of a stream of consciousness on a Sunday morning. I just got off the phone with my dad. My dad is probably the smartest guy I know when it comes to politics. He's so very smart, and he's taught me a lot. But in any case, of course, I love my dad, right? But anyway, Plan B. I said earlier on social media, I said months and months and months ago, I said that they should immediately transition to Kamala. The reason being is the earlier you do that in an election season, the more you can make the machinery and plan for it and all that. So if they really were going to put their weight behind Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris is a horrible general election candidate nationally. Let's just put that way. But there's something to work with. I personally don't think that she's up to the job or the task, but we're just kind of we're going to preface this whole thing with the debate with Biden. He wouldn't have been on stage had they done this. Again, many recriminations that are ricocheting around across social media, mainly on the Democrat side, a little bit on of course, every Republican and every independent that supported Trump is saying, "I told you so." Or maybe not supporting Trump, but didn't like Biden and saw this coming down the line. There's a lot of people wagging their fingers saying, "I told you so," and they're right. And I'm one of them. I go after the Democrats so hard because I find they have something that could really work if they would just lean off of some of the ridiculousness on the hard left. On the progressives. I don't like progressive. Everybody likes progressive things on paper. It could be healthcare for everyone. It could be universal pre-K. It could be, I don't know. It could be first-time home loans for like people that are poor or people of color or whatever. All these things on paper sound really, really good on paper. But in reality, when you go to try to make them into policy, far different story. So good for them for having a heart and want to put that out there. But hard left progressive things don't work in reality. It takes quite a bit more work and mechanisms to get us there. Anyway, Kamala Harris could have been the VP, or she could have been the presidential nominee had the Democrats did that earlier in the primary season when there actually was a primary. She could have easily been the nominee. They could have had more than enough time to roll up to this point to like where we get to the first debate. Theoretically, she would have been pretty put together, and she would have all they would have seen on screen, even with Kamala Harris's horrible word salads and all this stuff and optics and all of this. She could have played it very safe. And it would have been a young compared to two 80-year-old white dudes on the stage. It could have been Kamala Harris, a very young and vivacious African-American woman, versus this old orange tan dude that's Trump, whatever. Would have been a very different, we would have been talking about this for a very different means. But it also could have helped Kamala get honed. And a campaign as a gauntlet. A lot of people don't understand this, whether it's local and I understand this from a certain points of view. I am not an expert, but I would say that I have had a hand in local elections and things, and I have helped out where I can, just like anybody else. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but it's patently obvious. The earlier you start on a campaign and you have your platform down, you have your optics down, you have your messaging down. Kamala Harris, properly prepared up to this point, would have had a lot of stumbles probably, but it would not have been anywhere near as bad as what America saw. I think 45 million people tuned in at one point or another to watch the scene and debate. That was just a headline that I read in passing. We really don't know the numbers, but I just kind of pop up numbers. But what we saw was historic. Just like back in the 60s, you had the first Nixon Kennedy debate. I don't remember which one. I wasn't alive for them, obviously, but have read a history book like everybody else, and different people that were alive back then that have wrote living testimonials about that time. And there was like one particular debate, like where Nixon was he was just sweating. He was just sweating. He lost on optics on that alone. Joe Biden, and granted, this is one debate, which is true. The people that are defending Biden their strongest point is it's his first debate. Everybody has a bad one. True, but to fail so spectacularly like that, there is no excuse. There is no waffling. It is what it is. But anyway, this is kind of like brings us back to the thing. That's my point. My point being, if they would have given it, handed the baton off to Kamala, prepped her, whatever, they have all the money in the world, all the experts in the world. If they could coach her to be a good general election candidate and not a California politician, nobody is going to elect a California politician on the national stage. Nobody is. It's just not going to work. People in California live in a different world than the rest of us. Even the East Coast, even on the East Coast, when they have their craziness, they still have a limit. People in California that are on the national scene don't have any limits. And if they do have limits, they're artificial, like Newsom. But that's a whole other different thing. It really does speak to the weakness of the words that the Democrats speak when they talk about true inclusivity, right? True representation. They make good points. They make a point. America is female. It is Black. It is white. It is Hispanic. It is Latino. It is gay. It is straight. It is bisexual. It has trans people in it. It has people from all walks of life. That part is true. Nobody's going to deny that. But how much of a hypocrite does the Democrat Party look when they obviously have a waiting younger Black female waiting in the wings literally as VP, ready to come in and serve? That's the whole point of a vice president. To come in when the president is ill, when they're not cutting it. That is the point. The only point of a vice president is to take over if, God forbid, something happens. We've already hit that point. We're well past that point. Joe Biden, you may vote. Let's put it this way. Let's just say that Joe Biden somehow finds a way out of this, and he doesn't sink too low in the poll numbers, and he's still on the ballot in November. That motherfucker still has to serve for the next 4 fucking years. Do you honestly think that he's going to make it? No, he's not. He's just not. He's not. I don't want to wish ill on anybody, because I don't like Joe Biden. I think he's a horrible politician. But you know what? At the end of the day, he is a human being, and he is somebody's grandpa or great grandpa. And I don't want to be too insulting. Excuse me. For that point, but it is still true. He is somebody's grandpa. He is somebody's dad, somebody's brother. And to say that he's going to be able to faithfully, never mind the next 4 months. What about the next 4 years? Do you honestly think that Joe Biden is going to be able to serve the remainder up through 2028? No. No rational American believes that. Not even the most hardcore Democrat, who can like literally make Joe Biden into a human puppet, stick their hand all the way up his ass and make his mouth move. Okay, he is not going to be able to faithfully serve the next 4 years after November. It's just not going to fucking happen. That is not on the table. Now, the problem is the Democrats find themselves in this box that they made themselves, and we can get into it a little bit later on for like what that box looks like and how treacherous they put themselves in this position anyway. But if they had a Kamala Harris months and months ago, and they would have put her in the hot seat, you can, as much as I dislike Kamala Harris, I can't deny that she has some kind of a polish on her. She knows how to stand before people and give a speech poorly. But when you're in a campaign, when you're running a gauntlet like that, you are hardened and you are shaped. And you, even if you're a weak candidate, you've been through that process. That process is a vetting process itself. It shows that the American people, it shows that you want to put the work in for the office that is out there. It doesn't matter what your background is. You put that. The only thing I'll point to, and I wish I'd have a clip ready to go. But as I do this kind of online thing, I will, and my content will get better and quality will get better, etc. But if you followed along and you paid attention like I am, I love politics. I love the inside baseball over the history of it. It's kind of gotten a little bit more boring and uninteresting because we've had the same fucking fight for the last 8, 10 years, 9, 10 years, which is this Trump versus whatever, which it gets old after a while. It gets kind of stale. But if you recall back on the Democrat primaries when Biden was running, and he had to go up against all the other people on stage, Buttigieg. Harris was already out by that point, but she was in a few of them. There's some other ones, but if you recall, probably about a third or halfway through the Democrat primaries season back in 2020, you had Bloomberg who came in out of like nowhere. It was his first debate. Even the weakest Democrat candidate who didn't have a prayer in the national election, say a Kamala Harris or a lower, I can't think of the lower level names that were kind of there on the stage. They weren't going to be there by the third one from that point, but they were still there. My point is that Bloomberg got fucking murdered. He got murdered on stage by even the lowest level person running for president on the Democrat side in the primaries. He got fucking murdered. And the reason why he got murdered was because he had not been through the same gauntlet that the other candidates had been through. When you're in the gauntlet, even if you're a shitty candidate, you get better at what you do because you have to go to rallies, you have to face the press, you have to kiss the babies, you have to shake the hands, you have to press the flesh, you have to travel here, you have to travel there. It's a very exhausting process to do that. Even the most poorly skilled candidate for Democrat for president back then was leagues better, miles better, night and day better than a Bloomberg who just thought he could just show up on stage, have a few polished clips, not make too many mistakes. He got murdered. He was out of the race like maybe 2 debates from that point. It was a joke. It was a fucking joke. So there is value in running that. That is the value of having a primary before you have the national the general election. Um, how much better off would America have been had the Democrats allowed a Dean Phillips to actually run? Never mind putting Kamala in the hot seat, which nobody voted for, really. Having these people that are appointed, that are picked by the Democrat elite or the Republican elite when they do it on their side, the American people are robbed. If you're a Democrat and you voted for Biden because you had to, in the primaries, and now you're stuck with them, I would be mad. I would be so mad if I was a Democrat. I would feel so betrayed. It's not even funny. You actually had options. Now everybody's like, how can we get Joe Biden to be out of all? It is what it is. I don't know. But I'll finish reading this and then I'll get back into it and wrap it up here. Yes, I like to talk. If you don't know, and I guess I could have checked the chat thing here. Yeah, nobody's there has to be a certain number of people. There has to be at least 100 people online before you get any kind of chat messages that roll in. It is what it is. Anyway, I'll finish this out here. Kind of going back, recriminations here. Shoulda, coulda, woulda type musings, which is what this is. Anyway. I made it way too long, but by now we would have seen the first fruits of a Harris finding its campaign legs. Kamala is massively out of touch as a California politician, but there was something to work with, which is, and if not, at worst, put a muzzle on Kamala and let her talk about abortion. That is a winning thing for the Democrats. It didn't happen. Make her be like Bernie Sanders back in the last 2 or 3 elections, 2015, 2016, all the way up through. Bernie Sanders, if you ever got a clip of him, he was never going to be the nominee, but put that aside. Bernie Sanders was a something to strive for if you're running for office. That dude, you might not like Bernie Sanders, but 24/7, he was on the same message. He had the same message. Tax the billionaires. We need healthcare. We need things for veterans. He never strayed from that message. Every single time he was in an interview, you had to sit through the first 15 minutes of it before he could answer real questions, which was he had to get his message out, then he would talk about whatever. If they would pin Harris down, if they had put Harris in the hot seat and made her the nominee, and we were already up to this point, and she, assuming she had a campaign put together to vet to go through the gauntlet, if you would have put her in front of the camera, and the only thing she would have ever talked about was abortion rights, and maybe a couple other things that she actually is strong on, and pinned her down and made her to be a Bernie Sanders like that, like a robot, and say that message over and over and over and over again, the Democrats would be an infinitely better space, a battle space, than what they find themselves at today. She would have been unassailable on those positions because she would have had the high ground as a Democrat. That is something that would have potentially won them and kept the Democrat big tent coalition together. But no. In lieu of that, maybe, and this is kind of a joke, but it's kind of it's kind of a middle finger up to all the Democrats out there, not regular Democrats who are normal citizens. I'm talking about the party elite, the people that run the show in the background. Not conspiracy talking, just saying the people that are of substance and actually their voice matters, and the high levels of the Democrat Party, as it were. You guys that now are left holding the bag of what to do, and the donor class that makes the backbone of the Democrat machine. Maybe you should try to indict Trump again. Maybe you should try to impeach him again. Maybe that'll work. Why not? Why not keep trying to do that? Because it hasn't fucking worked yet. It's backfired on him. So that obviously that's sarcasm, and that's a big ha 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 to those idiots. But I will cover this next point, which I didn't hear or see anybody talking about or saying. Instead of minding their own business, Democrats are too busy making sure Donald Trump secured the GOP nomination starting years before this point. The Democrats wanted Donald Trump to be the GOP nominee. They worked hard AF to get that to happen, and they did it. Maybe they shouldn't have been working so hard to get Donald Trump to become the nominee, because they thought that they had a slam dunk election in their calculus that Biden would be able to be coherent enough to put on stage, to trot out on stage. We saw that fell apart real quick, didn't it? Maybe next time the Democrats shouldn't be so worried about who the GOP runs and who the GOP nominee, and getting wrapped up in the wheels and spending so much time trying to take down their political enemy they see of ever. If you talk to any Democrat, they'll tell you, any Democrat that hates Trump, even some Republicans hate Trump. They made that into their religion. You made it into a religion. You made it happen. The Democrats got caught red-handed, putting up and paying for everything but campaign for the MAGA candidate, as they call them, in certain elections in the midterms. Maybe if they wouldn't have spent so much time doing that and looked at how they could, I don't know, actually run a fucking platform that most Americans would get behind, aside from if you vote for Donald Trump, it's the end of democracy as we know it, which is bullshit, absolute bullshit. If they wouldn't have made that their cornerstone, it's too late. It's too late. It's too late. You have years and years of this. It's too late. And it's delicious. It's delicious. On one, a very small part of me does think it's really sad that we could have had a Dean Phillips on the Democrat side as the nominee, but we didn't get that. We did not get that. We have the same old Biden. And now when he looks like he practically everything but a wheelchair to complete the picture of this dude is not this dude should not be leader of the free world. We're left with this. We're left with recriminations and with maybe it's Harris, which would be a disaster in and of itself. But I don't know. Are you a Democrat? What did you think of the debate? How do you think they come from this? Um, I will say this: if the Democrats if they really do put Donald Trump in jail in New York for that sentencing on July 11th, the election is over. Donald Trump will be president if they do that. 100%, it will happen. If or I should say, if Biden does his second debate, if he shows up like this and we have another debate like what we saw this past week, it's over. I mean, I think it's pretty much over anyway. But it is what it is. And I am not a GOP person. I will vote for a Republican when it suits my area and what I care about. And at my stage of life, I will vote for the Democrat if I feel like they're better for my way of life and everything else. I am not going to bend the knee to either party and go in. I think most Americans are like me. They're reasonable. They just want normal people to step up and help and start fixing these problems, which are neither left nor right. But unfortunately, I don't think we're there. But I wasn't the one. I'm not Joe Biden. I'm not the one who on stage told me in no uncertain terms, if you vote for a Donald Trump, you are voting for the end of democracy. You're voting for the end of America. And although that doesn't necessarily apply to me, if I abstain from voting for either one of these guys, for Biden or for Trump, if I abstain and I don't vote for Biden, that message is the same to me, which means that if I decide that I don't want to vote for either one of these people at the federal level for president, and I'll vote, I'm still going to vote for my local elections, absolutely. But for president, that was still on the table. But basically, you told me that if I don't vote for a Biden and if I abstain or if I vote for a Trump, it means that I'm voting for the downfall of America and the end of democracy, which is the most ridiculous thing ever that I've ever heard. It is not factual in any way, shape, or form. The Democrats, you guys need to stop. Stop with the Trump derangement syndrome. Just stop. Now you've made your bed. You picked your candidate. It's Biden. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. You have earned it. Not all Democrats, but the ones that are really full-throated against Trump, you've earned it. You've earned it. You've earned everything that you've ever wanted. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. And with that, I don't have any answers. All I can say is it's going to be really fucking entertaining to see what happens in the next little bit. Anyway, I've been if you like what you see, you've been with me this far, consider giving me a like or subscribe, comment on wherever you see this on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Would really appreciate a subscribe, and we'll come back and so we'll see. I do want to try to get a few people together to kind of do like a panel roundtable. People from different walks in life. If you are one of those people and you want to be on camera and do this thing and talk with other nobodies like myself and other people who are just citizens and are just kind of tired of this whole thing, look me up. Maybe consider sending me a message. We'll see. Anyway.